topic of module 5, and the topic name here is deadlock detection and resolution. Okay, how do we detect a deadlock? What is a deadlock, you know, right? How do we detect it? So detection, we're talking about the detection part, which means we need to know that we got a deadlock. When we are working or when the process is going on, we do not know sometimes you got deadlock, correct? But here in this case, we are trying to find the deadlock, so which means we are detecting it and we are trying to resolve it. We are detecting it and we are trying to resolve it. So why we are seeing this topic here is, so when we look into the deadlock handling mechanisms, we can handle in this four ways, or let us say 3 ways, which means one is detection and resolution, and next is prevention and avoidance. So today we are discussing on detection part. So detection part, and we are trying to see the detection part and resolution part. So this is what we are trying to do today, right? So let us see what is this detection and how do we detect it and how do we resolve the deadlock. So any one of you have a doubt regarding what is by deadlock? So you'll be in a situation, right, where you cannot come out, you cannot go front. That's called deadlock. Let us say you want to travel to your native. What will happen during your festival times? You will start the journey from your home and you want to reach your native. You will travel by car. You will be stuck up in the traffic, or you will be stuck up at the toll gate, where the traffic you are stuck up. You cannot come back to your place, or you cannot go to your native. You are stuck up completely. Okay, those kind of situations is called as deadlock, where you cannot go front, you cannot come back. Is that clear? So, and you're prepared, you have the IA, right? You're not prepared, where you cannot appear, where you cannot write. So those conditions where you're not able to decide anything, so this is called as deadlock condition. Is that clear to you? Any doubts in deadlock? So how to detect it? How do we know that we got a deadlock condition? Right? If you know that we got deadlock condition, then we can solve it. Which means, if you know what is your problem, you can find solution for it. Without knowing your problem, you cannot find the solution, right? So we need to know whether we got deadlock or not, and we need to know uh, what place we got deadlock, because of process or because of resource, right? So because of what we got deadlock, if you know, and we can able to resolve that issue. Okay. So let us see the first one here. A blocked process is not currently involved in a deadlock if the request on which it is blocked can be satisfied through a sequence of process completion. What is this meaning of this one? A blocked process. Let us say we have a process. So this is the process, right? So this process is blocked. When this process will be blocked? When this is process, let us say P1. So process P1, when it is blocked, when this process P1, okay, will request for a resource, okay, and this resource is only one resource available. This resource was given for other process. Let us say P2 process, it has given. Now this process P1 has to be blocked. Okay, is that clear? So it's like this. It is whenever you try to uh, book a ticket. Okay, you went to reservation counter. The reservation counter, people are serving other people. So you have to wait in a queue. You are getting blocked there, right? You didn't got the access to book your ticket. Something like that. Any other example? If you want to add to this, you can join and add the example, like how we are getting blocked. Any examples of getting blocked, you can add. Okay. So a blocked process is not currently involved in a deadlock because it is already blocked. So this may not be involved in deadlock. So as this, let for example, in this example, P1 is blocked. So this P1 is not currently involved in deadlock. Any blocked process is not currently involved in a deadlock. If the condition is what? If the request on which it is blocked. So based on the request on which it is blocked can be, so this can be satisfied through a sequence of process completion, which means it is blocked here. If you want to unlock or you want to remove the blocking condition, okay, and then we need to follow some sequence of steps. Then only we can unblock it or we can unlock it. Okay, it's like this resource now, this connection is disconnected. Now it can give the request back, it can give the resource back, then this block condition will vanish. Okay, so the resource release and resource allocation events. So this can be done by a sequence of resource release or by resource allocation. Is it clear the first point? Whenever we have a block process, the block process does not able to involve in the deadlock, and this has to satisfy a sequence of conditions like resource release and resource allocation. That's the first point. What about the next one? Second point here, this contains a single resource. Like in this before case, what we got multiple resources. So you see here in this case, we got multiple resources. Just a second. Okay, if each resource class in system contains a single resource unit, whereas you see this one here, this was the resource. Inside this resource, we have a single bullet, which means that it has only one resource with us. If you have multiple resources, we have two dots. Let us assume like if each resource class in a system contains a single resource unit. If it has a single resource unit, then what will happen? Check for a cycle in RRAG or WFG. So we need to check for the cycle in the RRAG and WFG. 1 second. Just hold on. See, this is a condition deadlock. I want to write here, but it is not supporting. Yeah, now we got it. Okay. Now see this one. If each resource class in system, let us say we have something, we have one resource here, we have other resource here, other resource here, let us say we have another resource here. Each of them will have only one corresponding bullet, which means only one resource which is available. Each resource class in the system contains a single resource unit. So this is only one, right? So this also is one. So in this class, let us say this complete thing is said to be a class, like an entity. Okay, in this entity, all the resources what we have here is having only one corresponding resource unit. Then it will check for a cycle. It will check for a cycle. What is cycle means, like we got one gave to other resource, this gave to other, this gave to other. Whether it is like this or not, it will check. There are multiple resources, we can unlock it easily. The deadlock condition will not occur so easily, right? When we have a single resource only, we have a problem with deadlock. Let us say if we have a single resource in the class, and now we need to check for it, we need to check a cycle in RRAG or WFG. We'll check for the cycle from 1 to 1, it is cycled or not, we'll check. Okay, not applicable if resource classes have multiple resource units. So this cycling technique will work out for us in detecting the deadlock when we have a single resource. Let us say in this example we have multiple resources here. Now in this case, if I remove here one of the resource, let us say this resource is being removed here. Now it'll be work out for me to detect the deadlock. Now this, if I add some more resource here, let us say you add a resource here, for example, or you add a resource here, or you add a resource here. Anywhere if you add one more resource, then that condition will not work out for us. Okay. Next, that is this point not applicable for multiple resource units. It's clear for us. And next one, we will use a matrix model. Let us say the graph will not work out using this RRAG graph or WFG graph. If you are using a single resource, it will work out for us, and it will not work out for us in case of multiple resources. So what we need to do, we need to use the matrix model. So we need to use this matrix model. So matrix model we have seen, right? One is graph model, other one is matrix model. So this matrix model for all the conditions, whether it's a single resource or it's a multiple resource, right? So this this matrix model will be useful for us in all the conditions. Will be useful for us. Okay. Let us see now further how this matrix model can be useful for us in detecting the deadlock. All right. Now, example. Let us see an example how this has been useful for us. Now, example, deadlock detection. How to detect a deadlock? Correct. Now, the allocation state of a system contains 10 units of resource class R1. 10 units. 10 units means what? You see resources here 4 plus 4 plus 2. How many are there total? 10 are there. Okay. So we have 10, let us say example, and we have 3 process. So 3 process. So 3 process is 1, 2, 3. Now what is this matrix number? What can you say? P cross R, right? So P cross R, so P is here 3 and R is here only one resource, so it is 3 cross 1 matrix. So in this way we got 3 cross 1 matrix. So 3 indicates the number of process. The process is P1, P2 and P3, let us say for example, and this one here it's the resource is R1. Okay, but this R1 only one resource, but like this we have 10 resources. Let us say for example this can be a printer, this can be a tape, whatever the printers are, 10 printers are available. Okay, so 3 of them want to access this 10 printers, like this it is. Now request resources, which means this is allocated resources, it is requested resources. So if you see, this is a process and this was a resource. Now if resource is given to the process this way, we call it as allocated. Okay, and if it is reverse case here, if it is the reverse condition here, then if it is this way from process to the resource, then we call it as requested. So like this, in this the requested are 6 plus 2, 8 are requested, but allocated are 10. Okay, total number of resources 4 plus 4 plus 2, 10. Free resources 0. Now how to detect the deadlock? We understood the example here. Now how to understand the deadlock here is the process P3 is in the running state. How to know process P3 is in running state? Let us say for example, right? So process P3 is in running state. Yeah, we simulate its completion. We simulate its completion. Okay, the simulation of that is completed. Okay, allocated it. P3 is completed. P3 is using a resource. Is completed. Now this P3, which is using the resource, is now this resource is given now to P2. Okay, now in this example all process can complete in this manner, like this, one by one. What will happen? One resource will use and it will give to other resource. Let us say this resource will be used by P3. After using that resource, it will be given to other process. So this process, after using, it is going to take you to other process. This way all the processes are happening one to one. We cannot see any blockage here. So no blocked process exists when the simulation ends. By the end of the simulation, we feel like in this example, there are no blocks. Like what is that blocks means what? Now when P3 is executing, the resource was not available, let us say, then it can lead to a deadlock. So that conditions are not happening here. Correct. So then from this example, we can say like there are no deadlocks exist. The deadlock doesn't exist from this. We can able to say. Let us see much more clearly to understand how this deadlock can be detected. Okay. Now deadlock detection algorithm. What is the algorithm they are trying to write here? Let us see now. Now what are the inputs we need? So number of process, right? So number of process. So we given that by a number n, number of process. So this is let us say number of process. So process is given by n, let us say, and then resources is given by r. So that's what n here and r here. This is n, number of process, r, number of resources. Now set of process. So this process can be, this is a process, right? This process can be in running state or it can be in blocked state. Either it's running state or it's blocked state. So either it's running or it's blocked. Running means what? It is executing. Blocked means it is not having any resource. So the resource what we have is not given to this, is not given, then it will be in block state. If it is given, it will be in running state. Okay, that's clear for you. Now, what are the free resources? We should know what are the free resources, what are the free resources, allocated resources, and requested resources. How do we know this? You see this one here? We can know here allocated resources count from this, requested resources we can count from this, and total resources 10 are available, 10 are allocated, available is 10, 10 allocated, then free will be 0. Free will be 0. So like this we'll come to know all these three conditions. Which three conditions? Allocated resources, we'll come to know the allocated resources, free resources, and requested resources. We'll come to know in this manner. As it is resources, you see this one array is given by 1, 2, 3, so up to R they are given. Again it is resources, allocated resources, they are given up to like 1, 2, 3 up to n number of process, like this from 1, 2, 3 up to n number of R number of resources. Okay, this is based on the process. This is n indicates for process, and whereas R indicates for resource. So like this we are given the inputs. Any doubts in this inputs? Is that clear in this algorithm? What all the inputs? This part is clear for you, where n is for process, R is for resource, and blocked state or running state for process, free resource, allocated resource, and requested resource. So this way we have the inputs. Now data structure. How the data structure is? When we'll complete, when based on the set of process. If all process P1, P2, P3 for example are the process, if this process is completed, then we can say that this algorithm is stop detecting, because the complete task is done. If we have a deadlock, the deadlock may happen while executing P1 or while executing P2 or while executing P3. If all these three are executing fine, then what is the condition that you got a deadlock? You will not get deadlock, right? So it will come to the finished state where set of process done. Now, now let us see what is happening in this algorithm part one by one. Let us see. So first part, let us see first one. So first step is what? Repeat until running is empty. So repeat until running is empty. Second thing, if set is blocked, it is not empty, then what to do? So these two conditions are there, right? First condition, which means we have a process here. So this process can be in running state, correct? So that's what they are trying to say. Repeat these many number of steps, A, B, C, D. All these steps you repeat. Okay, when you should repeat these steps? When you are in running state. Okay, when you become this running state becomes empty, you stop it. This is empty. This running state is empty. Then you stop this. Until this is becoming empty, you should do it. Which means until running state, you are going to do this corresponding steps. What is second step here? If set the block is not empty, okay. So we got some state of this process P1. Let us say it is blocked. This P1 is, let us say for example, it is blocked. Let us say it's blocked. Okay, so it can be blocked. It can be blocked for some time. It will happen. It doesn't mean that it's a deadlock, correct? If it is blocked for too much of time, so this block state is not getting empty, keep on blocking. Now P1 is blocked, later P2 is blocked, later P3 is blocked. Like this, different processes are getting blocked. If set blocked is not empty, that is not empty, then we are going to do this. What is that we are going to declare process is set blocked to be deadlocked. So based on this condition, we can able to say that we have got a deadlock. Now in this case, you see this, what all these four conditions, then we'll see how this deadlock is going to work. Now this is an interesting part, please focus. First one, select a process Pi for set running. Now out of, let us say how many processes are there here, n number of processes are there. How many processes are there? N number of processes are there. From this we can able to see, right? Just a second. The meanwhile, just go through this. I just want to write here. So it's getting loaded. So meanwhile, check A, B, C, D. These points you check A, B, C, D. Okay. Now let us check at this first point A. Now we have n number of processes. How many processes are there? N number of processes are there. Out of this n number of processes, select any one process. You select any process. Let us say it is P1 up to Pn. You select any one of the process here. So select any of the process P1 for running, set running. Hope you can hear me. Okay, just will see this one. 1 second. Yeah, those conditions. Let us see these 4 conditions. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So first one is what? All right. So let us look at this one is what we're going to do. So we are selecting a process from set of n process. Let us say PI is selected. Okay. Now we'll delete this PI from set of running. So what we are trying to do, we have P1 to Pn. Out of this one random process we selected. That random process is PI. Okay. So once we select this PI process, now what we are trying to do here is, so we are going to delete that from set of running because already this has been verified. This process PI is verified. Now we are going to delete that from running and we'll add that to a finished list. All right. Any confusion in that statement? We want to verify n number of process. Out of n number of process, we selected one process, and that one process, what we are trying to do, we are making it to finished part. Okay. First two statements are clear. Any doubt in A and B? A and B is clear. Now let us look at C. So first what we are trying to do in A, we have n process. the 10 process by selecting one process. Okay, let us say the process is pi. Okay, so next is b. What we are trying to do? What we are trying to do is we are going to delete that corresponding process from running state and we'll make it to set to finish state. That's what we are trying to do. Now for k equals to 1 up to r, what is the statement? K equals to 1 up to r, which means we'll take number of resources. So number of resources are what? The number of resources we are taking, r number of resources are there. One by one resource we'll take now. Okay. We'll verify which is the free resource out of this k number of resources what we have, because we have taken right 1, 2, 3 like this up to r we'll take. Let us say r is number of the number of resources. Okay. Whereas this k is a variable part. This k is a variable. We are taking some of the random variable. Let's like k equals to 1 to r. Any of the value it can be. K can be 1, k can be 2, k can be maximum up to r. Okay. So in this process, when we are trying to do here, what we are going to do? So what we are going to do here, you will just try to see here. So we are going to allocate the free resources k, because let us say out of this r number of resources, let us say r number is 10. Okay. Now k value can range from around 1 up to 10. Correct? From 1 up to 10. Now what we are trying to do, this free resources k equals to free resources k plus allotted resources from I to k, any one of them. Okay. So we are trying to find out this free resources, allotted resources plus this free resources. We are trying to find out. Let us say allotted resources are 4. Okay, and k value we have taken as 3. 4 plus 7, so 4 plus 3 7. So this 7 will be your free resources. We are trying to assume like that. So just we have to find out whether the deadlock is detected or not, or deadlock is activated or not. We are trying to check it out. Now, in this case, let us see D, what is happening in this process. Well, it is checking like that. In case of D, what is happening? While set block contains a process PI. When we are trying to do these things, we got a process called PI. PI we checked already fine, right? It's running, it's fine. We finished it, let us say. Now we got that PI. Now we'll check this for k value. From this k value we got it, from that k value from 1 to r, we'll check for the requested resources. Requested resources we'll check. If the requested resources are less than free resources, then it's okay. Which means 4 people are requesting for resources and 5 resources are available. So it is less than or equals to, it's okay. We have 100 rupees with you and somebody asking 10 rupees to you, it's less than or equals to, it's okay. Like if somebody asking you 100 rupees and you have 100 rupees, it's okay. If somebody is asking you 1000 rupees, which you have only 100 rupees, it's not okay. Correct? You cannot give them. Based on that, here you see these free resources here and the requested resources. If you subtract them, free resource and request resource. Okay, so see here, sorry, this one. Free resource and requested resource. I'll clear one second. So that you can focus here. Yeah, please focus here at this point. See this one, requested resources here minus, sorry, less than equals to free resources. If this condition is true, okay, for the values of k, if the condition is true, then see what will happen. Okay, so this water is there. Now for this what will happen? The value of k equals to 1 and our free resources value we have to update, right? So this free resource value what we have to update here will be free resources minus requested resources. Let us say 4 free resources are there available minus requested resources are how many? Requested are let us say equal in number or greater than. Two examples we'll take, 4 minus 3 and 4 minus 5. In this case what will happen? The allocated resources value will be allocated resources plus requested resources. So what they are trying to do here is they are trying to check the combination always whether we have free resource available or not. Free resource is yes or free resource is no. Whether it's available yes or it's not available, we are trying to check. Okay, in this case, we have availability of that. We're going to do one way. If there is not available, we're going to do the other way. Okay, now let us see this, what is happening here. The allocated resources, we checked it. So time being you understand it, I'll explain you much more clearly with an example. Then you can understand what is happening here. If you see the words, it will be confusing for us. Yeah, let us give the clarity on that in the next session. Okay. Now finally what we are going to do, delete this PI from the set of blocked list and add it to the running list, which means PI is got blocked. PI is got blocked. Why it is got blocked? It does not have the resource, it got blocked. Now if the resource is free, we'll make it to running state from, we should unblock from block state. So this way we are going to detect the deadlock. Let us see much more clearly in the next session. How can we detect this deadlock? Okay, so using an example, this is an example what we have here. Okay, we'll take an example of this and we'll try to see how the deadlock is being detected from this condition. So this is the matrix allocated resource and requested resource, free and total resource. We apply the algorithm on it and we'll check whether we got a deadlock or not. So based on this condition, what we got deadlock, we're going to, how to resolve it also we're going to see. Right, so that will continue in the next session. So as of now, any doubts do you have? Any one of you? Any queries? Any questions?